Welcome to the second ever EBL podcast of all time.
You mean Bastard Cast,
No,
not podcast.
It's the only other EBL podcast. It's I don't know how you guys do it in Canada, but here in the United States, we don't resort to that kind of name calling.
I can tell.
So, you want to introduce yourselves?
No.
No. we have the ghost of Ha Chow.
Ooh, that was a ghost noise. Just so you know.
And for the first time ever, EBL podcast number 2 exclusive, Karachi Boy.
Hey.
All right. We're gonna go through the teams and say who should sell out and just quit because you suck, and who has a real chance. All right. Start with the Celtics. The Celtics should quit. They should just quit EBL, actually.
Probably.
They are terrible. And all they have are second-round picks, so they're not rebuilding either. So.
But they have Alan Whitehurst, who is in the league still, so it's got that going for him.
Yes, they have Wu Ho, so that's always a plus.
It's like half of my last name, so you know. Yeah, Bret Hart's grandson, Ricky Hart.
Yeah, so this team needs to pick a direction and go with it, because Whitehurst doesn't really fit the kind of young youth rebuilding-y look to the team, and yeah.
And neither does Scott Singley.
And yeah, Scott Singley, who's just kind of garbage in my opinion. But.
And neither does Ed Diaz. But that's just, he's kind of a jerk, so he doesn't really fit in anywhere.
That's true. So, yeah, they should sell out. They should try and trade Whitehurst for picks or a younger guy or something. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah?
That's a foolproof plan. I see absolutely no problems in doing that.
Nope. None.
Everybody wants that 2-year, $26 million deal. Just throw it right on the pile of deals.
Look, I don't care.
Well, trade for him right now. Get on the horn. Reach out to whatever naval base / boat that Droppy's on. I mean, you have the contracts to match if you're willing to give up somebody good for Alan Whitehurst.
Yeah.
Or if he really likes Royce Lopez. I mean, who doesn't? So.
Yeah. All right. What do you think, Karachi?
No, I don't see much here.
Yep. That's the Celtics. We don't see much here.
That's how it usually goes when you talk about the Celtics.
Yeah,
all right.
I'm surprised
But they have like one of the top 5 rapping GMs in all of EBL. So
top 5 next to CC, GBB,
yeah.
and
that one time I rapped, and obviously Chris is number 1 on the list.
Well, of course. There's no competition really.
Because he's the hip happeningest of all the diggity dogs.
Yes. All right. Do you want to take the Heat, Hodge?
I absolutely can totally take the Heat, if you know what I mean. Wink,
well,
wink.
I mean, history says otherwise, but, you know.
Yeah. I like this team because they look a lot like my team, and my hubris just pushes me to like them. But, no, I mean, they're good. They obviously shouldn't be selling because they're right in the mix in the Eastern Conference standings. They're only 3 games out of first. They're also 3 games out of third because our division is so much better than the crappy Central. High five. That was through the... Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But No, I mean, I like them. The big men are. I know you think they're underperforming, but I think they're doing decently enough. The defense is playing good. The offense has been pretty efficient. I mean, if you look at Bill Ross and Mark Clinton, they're shooting very well. I think Gibson could stand to shoot better, and his assist to turnover ratio is kind of a problem. But I mean, it's not like a huge problem. It's not like let's freak out and trade Chris Shores and do something crazy like that. You know, you don't want to lose a stud like Chris Shores. But no, I would not sell. I'm going to go with not sell. Also, Chris Brown, highest rating is handling. What the fuck? That's all I have to say. I don't know what else to say about this team.
Yes.
Oh, and Don Blood is like shooting 35% from free throws somehow.
He knows it doesn't matter.
Clearly. I think even if you shot them underhand, you'd probably shoot better than 35%.
Look, he's shooting like 52% from.
I know that it's like the weirdest percentage line I've ever seen. It's like 52% from the field, 35% from standing directly in front of a hoop and throwing a ball into the fucking net.
Yeah. He doesn't do well under pressure. He has the granny shot from Tropic Thunder.
Ah, nice. Yeah, I watched Step Brothers today. Speaking of Will Ferrell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good choice.
The fucking Catalina wine mixer. That's all I gotta say.
It's all that needs to be said about anything.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
We can end the podcast now.
Yeah. All right. Well, good to see you guys, and I'll see you next time. So here it is. No, wait, that's the beginning. Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah.
So, Karachi, what do you think of this amazing 19-13 Heat team?
Yeah, about as much as I expected. They do pretty well defensively. Offense is there. Could be a little bit better, but
Well, Wayne
pretty
Jones has
solid.
been hurt, so that's holding them back from their usual offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe not, because it's Wayne Jones.
Look,
He did. Well, go ahead.
Wayne
I wanna hear the
Jones is a
praises.
former 20-point per game scorer. Okay.
I know. I was there
Yeah.
in spirit, because I would never put him on my actual team, so...
Well,
probably-
that's why you get swept.
Yeah. I love cleanliness.
Yep. All right. So Karachi, you want to take the Nets?
Alright. They usually have a bunch of rookies. And alright, you have some vets, Overlock. Who else? 17-14 look pretty good. Defense is solid. They got Stephen Porter.
Coolest GM in the league. They have that going for them.
Fan favorite.
Of course.
Joe Pickens, he's pretty decent. He's shooting well. 20 points per game, 8 rebounds. They're
Yeah.
solid. Go for the East is pretty. It's top heavy. The rest is kind of weak. So I
Yeah.
would buy in or try to win.
Yeah, I agree. He's got a lot of assists, too. Like 5.4 assists a game is a lot for a small forward.
I mean, yeah, but when you put that with the ratio of 4 turnovers per game,
Yeah, but...
just kind of insane at small forward.
All right, well... He's trying. Perhaps too hard to win games.
Yeah.
But it's another Atlantic team that's good on defense. Since they're only giving up like 90 points a game, I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Or 99 points a game, since 90 would be like ridiculously good.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely think there's no way they should sell out or whatever. They're a good team, and I think they're on the right course. I don't know if they're gonna really have too much of an impact or like go too far in the playoffs, but they'll definitely be there, and they're a thing. I mean,
Yeah, And they're really young, too. I mean, Pickens is the oldest guy, and he's not even 30 yet, and every other starter is 25 or younger, or all 26 and younger, because there's Charles Bailey also yucking it up somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'd say they're pretty solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Enough about them.
Yeah.
I get to do one of my favorite GM's teams, Magoo's Knicks.
Yes. Good old Magoo.
Good old Magoo. He couldn't be here with us today because he won't get a mic.
He can still listen. I'm gonna get him in right now.
You need to.
Fine.
Because this team is the most important team in the league. I think
I know.
it's been proven because of
Polo?
Tulio!
I have no idea what you're playing. Is that Olay?
Tulio Granados.
Is that Olay?
Yes.
What does that have to do with Tulio? I feel like I'm at a Canadians game now.
He's out of Spain. I don't know. That sounds kind of Spanish? Yeah.
They played it at Montreal hockey games a lot.
Well, it seems to fit. I just love saying Tulio Granados. So, this team is not capable of selling out, I don't think, really. They're already in rebuild, and I think it's just going to take them time. Maybe a few good trades here and there. Maybe pick up a veteran at some point in the near future.
Well, I think David Doughty's playing pretty good, at least, except that he can't pass, but at least he's scoring, so they got that going for them.
Yeah. So, I think they're good enough for now, for what they are.
Yeah, I don't think there's any need to go and do anything nuts with them.
Yeah. Karachi, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he doesn't really have much to compete with. Just go with youth, and I don't know who he can even trade. Does he have any veterans that are worth anything?
David Doughty could be worth something at some point.
Townsend is not even playing. So.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, just go with youth. He's on pace to win 25 games, 23 games. So just another year of rebuilding, and he needs to make some moves in free agency or trades.
Yep. All right.
Yes.
Onwards to the Magic.
The Magic.
I believe you're taking this one, Hodge.
Yeah. They're all right, I guess. I don't know. I don't see the big deal. No. They're really solid all around. Obviously, they have a very good defense. They score solidly. They have a clear three go-to guys. Rogers is a very good playmaker. If you look at his assist-to-turnover ratio, it's probably near the top of the league. I mean, they're not very good from three, which is kind of a downside to them. I mean, other than Mike Murphy, they all shoot the next highest guy is 36% from Louis Rogers. So that could be an issue if they play a team that's can sort of make them have to shoot more outside. It could hurt them. But I mean, that's pretty much a nitpicking at that point. They're really solid. I don't really see much of a need to make a move. I know he wants more of a real shooting guard because he wants to keep Ledesma at small forward, which I understand because he seems to play better there. But even if he makes no changes, they're still probably they're definitely in contention for a title as they're built right now. So
I would definitely agree. I think they are probably my favorite, at least in the East. Maybe the league, but yeah, they don't need to do anything. Just sit there and wait it out for their. They've got a good chance of a title, so I wouldn't do anything.
Right. Yeah. same here. They're pretty loaded with Doyle and McVicker and Rogers and Ledesma. And even Klein, so he made the move last year.
Yep.
Even the bench is solid, so.
Yeah, it's a very deep team compared to a lot of teams in the league. I mean, he's a lot better off if he gets an injury than some teams.
Yeah, I mean, if Mike Murphy has to come in or whatever, it's not a huge deal.
Yeah, and even like Bob Avendano is like, he could come in if there's an injury and he can at least score. So, he can do one thing.
Look, Bob Avendano is a freaking rock star. You don't have to worry about that.
Oh, we have a special guest coming in from the door. 1 second. Let's just...
How's it going?
Yeah, good. Sorry about the wait. Got the garlic parmesan, steaks, chicken poppers, and pizza.
Yes.
There you go.
Thank you.
Welcome. And let me signature for you.
Here. Have a good one.
All right, good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the first ever podcast delivery moment.
Yeah. That was quite the cameo. I'll never forget whoever that guy was. Juan? I'll say his name was Juan.
Yes, I think that's safe to assume. For no real reason whatsoever.
I don't know. It's just you live near the south, and I'm just saying it's out of accent. I don't know. Whatever.
I apparently that's interesting. I do not have pizza. I only have breadsticks. I will be right back.
Sweet breadsticks. I like breadsticks. What about you, Karachi? Let's talk about breadsticks. While Seth is wandered off to unknown areas. Also, how is Streeter in this? Oh.
Alright, well, he's gone, so I'm eating breadsticks.
Well,
Oh well.
the world will always have to wonder what would have been with that Parmesan.
Okay, what were we doing? What's going on here?
I think you were ordering some Parmesan food, but I can't be sure because I was in and out, There was an accent there that I'm not familiar with in living in Quebec.
This wouldn't be the bastard cast if I didn't order pizza.
Yeah. And it wouldn't be the bastard cast if I didn't leave right now to go to the bathroom and then come back, and then that's what's going to happen because I have to pee.
Okay.
So now the world knows.
All right, Karachi, I think you're up on the Sixers. Start us off.
Okay. Alright. Oh. They're 12 and 17. Got a couple injuries. Team's not playing too well. Oliver is doing well. He's shooting well, almost 50%. Shooting about 46 on threes, but their bigs are kind of weak.
Well, what are you talking about? They have Ostertits. Come on.
Exactly. So, and I don't know who Swen. Actually, he's a backup. He's not bad, but who is this? Stevenson. He's all right, but he should be better than 12 and 17 in the East with some decent players.
I would say that they are decent, but they don't have anyone who really is really amazing. They don't have a real number one guy, I don't think. I mean, I think the closest thing to it is Oliveri, who is solid. He's good, but he's not enough to lead the team, I don't think. it's just a very solid team, but nothing spectacular.
Right, they're lacking scores.
Yeah, so I would say
Yeah.
they need to make some trades to try and put themselves over the top. They have some picks they can dole out, but
Right, yeah. They have some young players too. If they want to move them.
yeah. All right, we're gonna skip Hodge because
Okay.
he's clearly taking a shit. We don't have time for that. And I'll take over for the Wizards. Excellent. All right, the Wizards, the worst team in the playoffs last season. Let's see what they've done differently. They got rid of Bill Ross. They give him to me. So they replaced him with Jerome Berry, who honestly is about the same, I'd say, in terms of usefulness. Maybe a little worse. Oh wait, I was looking at Philip Polino. No, he's better. He's better, I think. So that's good. They'll probably finish near the top of the East and get swept again by me in the playoffs in the first round, just as usual. Would you like to add anything to that, Hodge, about the Wizards?
Yes, they're the best team in the top teams of the Atlantic, if you count all the teams, except the ones that are better than them.
Yes.
And they're the team with the most Justins in the league, or tied for such a record.
Well, yes.
If you count their GM, they probably have the most Justins on their team.
Can't argue with that.
No, it's just sound logic, so
Yeah.
I don't make the rules. I just follow them. How is Streeter chatting in this while not being in this thing?
I don't know.
Excellent point. Moving on.
Yeah, but the Wizards should not do anything because they're fine. It's just whatever.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
Okay, moving on to the Hawks.
Yes.
I believe that's on you now.
Yeah, they're above 500 somehow. Well, no, not somehow. They had a very good sim. They went 7-3 in their last 10, apparently, according to this very, very quick look at the team.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they're really hot. They've won like 7 or 8 in a row, except for the last game, which they lost. But the point is, Dave Hutchinson went crazy. I mean, he's up to 28 and about like 9 assists a game. Brent Talley's been really solid. But, I mean, this team still should probably, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard to blow it up because they're so young. And it'd be hard to get equal value to some of the guys they'd have to move. But if they could get rid of pieces and maybe get like a big man that could help now, I mean, they're already in the playoffs. So their pick's going to be outside of the lottery as it is. Like, if they think they could move their pick somehow and get a big man that's like still young and can help with their team, it'd be something they consider doing. That's as close to blowing it up as I would suggest they do. And they have Rob Fern's contract to work with as far as such a plan of blow-ups would occur.
I definitely agree. I think that they should probably try and shop some picks for a good big man. And that shouldn't be too hard. But worst case scenario, they don't. I would start Rob Fern at power forward. I'd do it.
Yeah, I would do anything
He's gotta
but
be better than Menard.
there's nothing worse than him. He's like an insult to whatever. Where did he go to school here? Yeah, he's like an insult to Rutgers, and that's saying something because that's in New Jersey. So And that's what Magoo gets for not being in this podcast. He gets New Jersey insulted.
Yes.
Also, Maynard is he's like the worst starter I've seen. And that's actually managed to start 2 years in this league. I would sooner start Dave Hutchinson at power forward than keep Maynard starting at power forward. He is absolutely the drizzling shits.
I think I would start anyone else on this team over Mike Menard at power forward.
Yeah, definitely. I'd be like, I'll put Norman Rainey there. At least he's 6'8".
Yep.
I mean,
look, he's shooting 100% right now, so
yeah.
Can't argue.
He does not miss. He's Mr. Perfect. 1 for 1 in 1 minute of play.
Can't beat that.
No, it's impossible. He should just retire now while he's ahead.
Yeah.
I'd probably try and see if I could give more minutes to Juan Simon. I think he looks pretty interesting, and he's not really getting a lot of time right now. But, I mean, he might, I'd argue maybe, well, I guess Sandlin's doing all right as a backup point guard, but I would probably consider using Simon as a backup at the wings, at both wing spots. And like you said, if you start Fern at power forward, it makes even more sense. Because, I don't know, I kind of like Simon. I'd like to see what he does with some more minutes.
Yep. Karachi?
But the same thing. I mean, he needs to make a trade for a big man desperately. The rebounding is terrible. And outside of that, I mean, Brentali is doing pretty well. For I think it's his second year, and Hutchinson obviously is great. Again, a decent amount of production from Bade, Bod, whatever his name is.
I assume it's bad.
Bad, yeah. And that's about it. I mean, yeah, they just really need to trade for a big man. I mean, probably a six-man off someone else's team would be better than Maynard right now.
Yeah. There's probably guys on the injured reserve of teams that are better than Mike Maynard.
Yep, can't argue that. Speaking of big men, the New Orleans Hornets have some.
They do.
They do. Karachi, you want to start us off on there?
All right. Bert Tate, yeah, great rebounder. Newdorf, scoring 23 points a game. 10 wins. I mean, yeah, they obviously aren't going anywhere. They're pretty much just rebuilding. Just need scoring on this team. And he has a couple of picks. He'll probably make some decent trades outside of trading Marino and Wade, but yeah, I mean, he's got a couple of seasons to rebuild, and then we'll see.
Wait, Marino and Wade?
Oh, I meant a couple of years ago with the Hornets.
Oh, okay.
And he traded Higgins, too.
Oh, Higgins, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd probably just ride it out the rebuild now this year, get a few players, and probably next year start trading the rest of those picks for some sort of scoring veteran.
Yeah, I mean, I like his big men. I think they complement each other well. And I like McKinney, but everyone else is either Santan is still a little too young and unpolished. And the other pieces are just they're not starters. I mean, Lassard's alright as a backup, but that's about it.
Yeah. So they need to sell. Let's go to the Bulls, who I have no clue why. I'm doing air quote marks here. The last podcast said they should sell out for some reason. I have no clue why. They just won a title, and they definitely should not. They have Sean Wade, who, I know Raider guy's kind of down on him, I think, but I don't really know why. He's doing what he needs to do. Felix Mealy is actually a good player. Never thought I'd say that. You got Brian Fowler, who can at least be a good backup or start if you just are screwed a little. And then Voronkov and Marino. It's just I don't know why you would ever try and sell this team out.
I mean, I sort of agree. I don't know. I mean, they are 12 and 13, which is a little disappointing, even though their point differential indicates they should be better than that. But I feel like, I don't know. I feel like whenever Mealy is like a huge marquee part of a team, the team is probably just not doing good for some reason, which it's really inexplicable. And I mean, it doesn't make sense because Mealy does have he's getting 22-12, which is pretty good. But I mean, right now this team is they have four good starters, and then a lot of question marks all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely trade the 2039 Bulls pick to try and upgrade that a little bit. I would definitely not full on rebuild or anything.
It's just he kind of he doesn't have a lot of movable pieces. I mean, he's got the only big contract he should really want to move is Fowler, and that's a 5-year deal for a 31-year-old that's clearly declining / not very good at this point. So, and every other contract is tiny. They all make $1 million, which is not compatible with how most EBL is done. Somehow Tom Cabrera is making $1.2 million a year every year for the next 3 years.
Yeah, I don't get why GMs feel the need to under. I don't feel like they value that there's no cap in the league and you can just 1 year max everybody.
Yeah, there's no luxury tax for going way past your budget.
There's really no downside.
Yeah, and even if there was, he's in Chicago, so they make a lot of money, so it still doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard for him to make a move with the contracts he has. He has to have somebody that's willing to take on Brian Fowler just to get his pick, and his pick is obviously not going to be very good. Yeah. So it's kind of hard for him to make any moves. But I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't go crazy and blow it up, but it's just he's going to be stuck with what he has, and he's going to have to try and work with the pieces he's got in place.
Look, Raider guy, if you're actually going to listen to this, you should... I'll give you, what's his name? Jim Castanon. He can be your shooting guard since you use Voronkov at small forward anyway. For a first, I'll do it. I mean, there you go. That's a better starter, I'd say.
Well, there you go. Probably.
So,
maybe.
I mean, I don't care about contracts at all.
No. You know who has no contracts? The Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yes.
There's really not a lot to say about them selling because they've obviously already sold everything worth a damn on their team. I mean, I guess they could still sell Dave Wheeler or Victor Fern if somebody could give them an expiring and a first back for one of them. I'm sure GBB would be down for that, but I mean, it's just phoning it in until the draft for him, since he's got 7 firsts or 6 firsts and then 2 next year, and yeah.
Yeah, this team doesn't even really need to be talked about, aside from the fact that they have Mark Luna, who should probably be traded to the Thunder.
Yeah.
Aside from that, there's not really much to say.
I'm going to assume Mark Luna is going to hit way more than 50% of his free throws in his career.
Yes. Yes. Any thoughts on that one, Karachi?
Yeah, I mean, maybe he can move a couple of guys where, you guys mentioned Fern. Maybe even move Dick Marcus, move him to Atlanta, or even Phil Luck might have something. He doesn't have much left on something.
Yeah, Atlanta is like, it could work. I mean, I'd have to look at the contracts to really.
Yeah, Dick Marcus should match up, but outside of that, they're just totally rebuilding.
Yeah, I guess if he could get Dick Marcus and then some other piece off of the team, it would be pretty good. If you can get like Dick Marcus, and I don't know, like Max Conyers or something, they could probably both start for him without even looking at what Max Conyers is like anymore.
Yeah. Karachi, do you want to take the Pistons?
Sure. Let's see. He has Laird, pretty solid point guard. And the team is underachieving, 10 and 22, but he has no picks for the next 2 years. So, and he's just gonna have to stick it out. He has a lot of young players. Let's see what's value. Wow, he really needs some scoring and defense. And
And offense and
yeah.
rebounding, draft picks, cap
Yeah.
space.
This definitely looks like he went for Ryan Laird when he had nothing to put around him, and it's just kind of, I mean, I don't know what you even do from there except try and trade Laird, because he's not going to be able to do anything with no one around him.
I mean, Leo Payton is something, but
Yeah.
They're both point guards, so it's kind of like,
yeah, just move one somehow and for picks, and then go from there. Add some better young players.
it's rare to see a team where like the two best pieces play the exact same position,
Right.
and there's a reason that it's rare that it's like that.
I mean, yeah, something has to give on this team. I think he needs to sell them both because he doesn't have anywhere near the ability to put anything around either of them.
Yeah, LA's got like no picks for the next. He does have some cap space maybe next year. It looks like he should be like he doesn't have any big contracts coming back, but I mean I don't know.
Yeah.
There's not a whole I can do. It's not even like I could say get rid of your big contracts because he doesn't have any, except for Jake Wilson is his big contract, and I don't know why someone would take that unless it's part of a deal that was Laird or Payton. So it's time to sell if you're Detroit, I guess. If I had to pick.
Yeah, 100% they need to sell. Someone who probably doesn't need to sell is the Pacers. I mean, I like them. They have Dave Kaufman, so you can't go wrong there. Mercado he's good. I mean, I don't think he's super elite. Like I think Mofo was saying he should be like the MVP this season or something, but I don't see that at all. But
No, not after whatever happened in the last couple of sims, because his turnovers are too high to be an MVP.
yeah,
Not with that record. Not at 18-15.
nah. I mean, he's got Kaufman and Ross next to him, and he can't do much. It seems like. So, I'd say they should go for it. They're probably not going to be able to get too much for some of these guys because they're kind of older. Well, for Kaufman anyway, and that's the only one I would be wanting to get rid of at all in this case. So just go for it. I mean, you have some shot at a title, but I don't think he's like anywhere near the favorite or anything.
Yeah, I mean, he has an injury to Skalski, but I don't really think that's like I think it's just this team is like, they're really solid, and if they get hot, they can compete. But they're, I mean, I would say they're like a dark horse to win the title right now, which means they're good, but they're not like, I don't look at them and I'm like, this team's going to win a title for sure.
Yep.
I agree. I mean, they might win 45, 50 games, even more, but the defense and it's a lot of turnovers.
Yeah, it's a lot of turnovers in the point guard spot, like I said, and the defense has been not very strong.
Yep. Oh, you can take what's it, Bauer's team.
Who, me or Karachi?
It's you, Hodge, I think.
Why? All right. Doug Hardesty is getting 23-12 with 4 assists on good percentages. Actually, that's David Guth. Doug Hardesty, who I think I just mentioned 2 seconds ago, is getting 28, 8.8 assists, 1.5 turnovers. He's shooting very well. Bernard Sanders is doing very good with 22, 10, almost 11, which is a lot for a small forward, 4.5 assists. He's also shooting good. And that's about it. Jeff Gregg he's all right. He had a pretty good sim. There's really nobody else worth mentioning other than those 3.5 players they have, which is fine because they're 18 and 13. So it's kind of an older model of a team. I mean, personally, I would never really try and build a team like that, but he's going to have cap room next year. So if I was him, I wouldn't sell because it'd be kind of hard. You have to get expirings back to keep that cap room to try and sign someone for next year to add to his main 3 guys, or 2.5 guys, or 2 and 2 halves. So like 3 guys, but they're 2 halves.
Go on.
Yeah, I mean, they look good, but I don't know how they'll do with the playoffs.
I am actually really big on the Bucks. I love what Bauer did, and I honestly think he might be a GM of the Year candidate. Just for, it's kind of a ballsy move, because it really did, when he got Hardesty, it left him with just 2 guys, pretty much. That's all he thought he would have. I don't think he thought Bernard Sanders would be anything, but I think the 2 of them are good enough to make anyone else on their team, like Sanders, look a lot better.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I mean, if you have a top, like, 3 at your position, and the 2 most important positions, point guard and center, then I think you're set. I mean, I wouldn't be worried about it.
Right.
And I am afraid of them in a series because they have Hardesty and Guth in a series, which is always scary.
I'm not worried. I think their lack of depth will hurt them against some of the deeper teams like Orlando, where guys like Dong Dupuis and they're going to be exposed against that, because the big men don't have to worry about like Dong Dupuis going off on them, and it'll be hard for them to score on it. I guess say Dong like 2 or 3 more times though, since Baldwin seems to be big on that right now. He loves the Dong Dupuis.
That's true. Baldwin does love Dong. That can't be denied. I mean, honestly, I feel like they could pull somebody out of free agency who's better than Dong.
Yeah.
Give Kaloum Merriman another chance or something, I don't know.
I don't know. He's got like 9.2 rebounds a game, but luckily, I mean, Sanders is getting like a ton of rebounds for a small forward.
Yeah.
10.7 is a lot. I think he's still playing small forward. I don't know if he's been moved to shooting guard, or maybe he's been moved to power forward, and that's why he's like got some rebounds, but he's way too short to play that, so I'm going to assume he's a shooting guard. But I mean, that helps a lot when you get a lot of rebounds from a not a power forward. It can make up for having to start a Dong Dupuis sort of a guy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Jeff Gregg seems to be doing pretty well, so that's always good news.
Yeah. I mean, at least he can sort of play defense, so that helps.
Yeah. What do you think
Did
on
it?
Mountain Karachi?
I wonder if he would move one of these expiring Greg or Kennemer for a star.
I don't think he's
yeah.
willing to
You have two great players and then a bunch of role players.
Yeah, I don't know if I
think it
would
might
do
be
that.
worth it. I would, because Hardesty is still young and Booth is only 28, but yeah, it's up to him, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely your kind of like classic RDT type team of just getting some of the like really high end stars together and not really caring about depth or anything like that.
Yeah, or like other starters on the team.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's enough about them. I think they should definitely stay how they are, ride it out.
Yeah.
Karachi, I think you're up for the Raptors.
All right, the Raptors, a bunch of injuries. They're still playing well, above 500 somehow. And the defense is great. Whenever Frost and Merchant comes back, they might win some games and be in contention. So, don't know how they're winning outside of Sosa.
Yeah.
And
They're only one game out of the division lead somehow, despite the fact they've been missing their best player for like since the beginning of the year.
yeah, could be Zuckerman carrying all the bigs at least.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed with them is that it kind of seems like, and Mofo's gonna rip on me for this, but I feel like George Hunt might be having some sort of an odd effect on the team, making them better somehow.
He's not even starting anymore.
I don't know, like before that, it seems like they've been overperforming since they've had him playing like real minutes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think Seuss has played way better than anyone would have expected. Especially considering he was moved to point guard when he's like, people weren't even sure if he could start like where his actual position was. So that helps a lot. But it'll be interesting to see how they do after the next sim, if they can avoid injuries and get Frost and Fuentes back, and then it's only another like 4 days or whatever until Merchant can play. But I mean, they're definitely overachieving just based on how many injuries they've had to deal with. I mean, Frost has played 10 games. Merchant's played 4 games. I mean, that's like 2 of their best players. I mean, Zuckerman's played, he scored way more than I thought he ever could at 17 points a game. And Seuss's played a lot better than I expected. I thought he'd be like decent, but not like, I mean, he's getting 19 points a game, 6 and 6 on rebounds and assists. He's shooting like very well. So they're definitely overperforming, but it'll be interesting to see how they do once they get over all these injuries they have.
Yep. So, I mean, if I was Streeter, I definitely wouldn't try and sell out now. I think this is, for better or worse, one of the better teams he's had since becoming a GM. So,
Yeah.
I give props to him. He's not as much of a noob as he used to be.
I thank God, because he was fucking terrible when he started.
All right, I'll take the Mavs. I think. No.
Yeah.
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 Yep. Okay.
Talk about the Seaman and his boys.
All right. Yes. Dub has Aaron Seaman and no one else. So I think that's really all we have to say about that.
But he still has not hit a 3. the entire year. Or his entire career, actually.
Look, it's Dub Seaman can't go very far.
Most people's can't.
No. So that's all I think we really need to say about that.
0 for 24 his entire career, but he's shooting very well, which is not unusual for him.
No, not at all.
But yeah, I mean, I'd say he should sell, but he doesn't have a whole lot of stuff left to sell. I mean, I guess Jack Miller could still go somewhere. He's still pretty young. He seems to be like he'd be a decent backup guy. If somebody really wanted a young backup that they could hope could pan out, and if Dub just wants to sort of dump him.
I mean, you know where he could go? He could go to, what's it called? Shit.
Atlanta?
Where Dong is.
Where the Dong is? Milwaukee?
That might be a good place. Maybe Atlanta. I don't know, something.
Yeah, Atlanta, Milwaukee. Somewhere in the Central,
Yeah.
where small contracts go to play. Chicago, that's another team with a tiny contract. It must be some central thing, I don't know. That's why we don't really get it.
Yeah. We're a little better than that in the Atlantic.
Cheap-ass central GMs. They don't live in a big metroplex that is future Atlantic America.
Yes.
Oh, that sweet tapping of the microphone.
Mm.
I'll never get tired of it.
No.
You know what else I'll never get tired of?
What's
The
that?
Denver Nuggets. That was a segue.
Oh, okay.
Poor segue, but segue nonetheless. This team sucks. I'm gonna say by design. They have like 20 million firsts because somehow they managed to trade a lot of whatever level of talent they had for a lot of firsts. I mean, he has like no real contract flexibility as far as trading goes. I mean, other than like Bob Torgerson and Robert Kerrigan, there's nobody worth a note as far as large contract size goes. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the only people back next year are Luke Smith, Larry Henderson, and John Epps, and that's because they're on more than a one-year deal. I wouldn't be surprised if Mofo replaces every single player on his team right now when he gets to free agency, and with all the draft picks he has as well. So,
Yep.
I mean, I guess if he can sell anybody and get something out of it, then I guess he should sell, but I don't see that happening.
Right. Not much there to move. A lot of draft picks next 2 years.
Yeah, he's
12.
he's just completely tanking. So, I mean,
Yeah.
not much to say. There'll be I think they might be something along the lines of the Trailblazers soon. They'll run into that problem of having too many draft picks, which really isn't a problem at all if you have an actual GM who's doing something. So,
Yeah.
they'll be fine.
Just
They'll
like
be good.
Portland.
Yep, just like Portland. They have a real GM in Portland, I hear.
I also love how he always says that he values second-round picks, but he's got one second-round pick on his team,
Yeah.
which is kind of weird. It's almost like he doesn't want second-round picks, but he says they're so good, but for some reason he personally doesn't add any second-round picks to his team.
It's kind of like he's a liar.
Yeah, or a hypocrite, yeah.
Or
But what
really,
do I
he's just
know?
lazy, from what I hear from Thug.
Lazy about second-round picks?
Yeah, he's just lazy. He can't.
That's
he
like
can't be
every
bothered.
GM. That's like every GM in this league.
Alright, so, I mean, there's not much to say about the Nuggets. They're already doing what they need to do.
They're sucking at a historic rate.
Yep. Karachi, you want to take the Rockets?
Sure. All right. 19 and 10. Wow. Team is obviously a title contender. He traded for the former Suns players, O'Neal, Willis. Bonds is still there. He's decent bench player. Maurice Hill, well, wow. Kang Chen, pretty awesome. Land, his stats are back up. They look pretty great. Not much to say. I mean, obviously, he'll make moves if he still can.
Yep.
Let's see. Yeah, I wouldn't want to play him in play them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty good, but I feel like they might be a little, like, I don't know. I mean, they look like really solid, but I think Thug's probably disappointed in how Kevin Land is playing. I think he expected a lot more than 17 and 11 after how good he played last year. So that's probably a disappointment. I'm not like a huge fan of Benito Kodama, who's their backup big man. I think he's kind of pretty so-so. But, I mean, he's got a good little rotation with Willis and Hill and Tanba and O'Neal, and he's got pretty good depth. I don't know, something about this team just feels like off a little bit to me for some reason.
Missing that superstar, maybe?
I disagree with you a little bit on this one. I think Kevin Land is playing phenomenally. I mean, he's shooting like 50%, getting like 4 blocks and 11 rebounds. I think he's doing great. I think he's doing what he needs to do. I think the problem with this team is that Tanba doesn't seem really capable of working in the system. And I think it's like the opposite of a Hodge system. So he's not really in his element there.
I think if it was really an opposite of mine, then Land would be scoring 20 points a game, not 17 and a half, if that's what he wanted to do.
I mean, I guess. I don't know.
Because then it'd be like the big men would be scoring instead of the not big men.
Yeah.
Or little men, if you will.
I mean, yeah. I think he's gonna roll with it, and he's gonna do pretty well. He might be in contention for the West, I think, for sure. He's got a chance.
Yeah,
There's no way he should sell out or anything.
No, I would definitely not sell out with this team. I mean, I think they'll probably be fine, but I don't know. I'm just, something about them seems not right to me.
Yeah.
I can't put a finger on it.
I mean, I can put a finger on what you don't like about this team, and it's that the bigs are doing all the scoring.
Well, not really. I mean, they have Willis and Hill are both outscoring Land, so it's pretty balanced on the offense.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll see how I feel about them after I see like a couple more sims and the numbers bounce up between his new adding Willis and moving Tamba to the bench and all that.
I get to talk about now the other normal member of the so-called Bastard Cast. He couldn't be with us today because he is in Cuba looking for Dr. Bob McCoy's corpse to resurrect him because Sperber is down.
Yes.
Sperber is down with a broken skull. And
God rest his soul. God rest his soul.
And they need him right now.
I see a cross on my chest. You couldn't see it, but God rest his soul.
Yeah.
That brave soldier.
So, I mean, I think they shouldn't sell out or anything, but their season might be pretty much over. Like, I mean, they might make the playoffs or whatever, but they won't be able to do anything in them, I don't think.
God rest his soul. I can't get over Sperber. It breaks my heart.
Yeah. Well.
Nah, not really. I don't really give a shit. No, obviously losing Sperber hurts a lot. So that's a big loss for them. But they do have Chad Chavez, who could be slotted in and might not do too badly. I know he had a bad TC, but he's shooting pretty good, and I mean, he's all right. At least he's still a B+ defender. I mean, it's not ideal. It kind of hurts their depth because I know Chavez is doing a lot of work for them off the bench. But they could probably extend someone else somewhere into that bench area. I mean, maybe even Angel Dottie might have one last run as a bench wing in him. But, I mean, I still kind of like this team. I wouldn't sell, like as you said, because it seems ridiculous to just because Sperber's hurt to all of a sudden just blow up the whole team. So, I mean, I wouldn't sell, and I think they won't be as badly affected as some teams because they have Chavez to plug in to that spot. And Sperber was only getting like 17 points a game, and I think Chavez could get that. So,
Yeah.
and once he gets like the corpse of Bob McCoy from future 2039 Cuba, he'll be tough to beat. Because with all the nukes that went into Cuba in 2035, anyone that survives there is pretty tough. So
Yes.
if he could drag Dr. Bob out alive, he's gonna be hard to stop in the paint because of the extra arms he's gonna have from the mutation.
All right. Anything to add to that, Karachi?
Yeah, I mean, it's still pretty solid. They could use some better scoring bigs, but outside of that, and yeah, they have some role players still. There's okay. Not a big fan of Max Baldwin, but you know.
Yeah, I definitely think that Scafty is better than Baldwin. Like I'm a huge Scafty fan.
I have heard that.
So, all right.
I think Baldwin's value has dipped drastically because, I mean, he's still not very good at rebounding, and now he's not scoring either, which makes him like, that pretty much kills his one thing he was there for, which was to score. So,
I mean, he's going into like Lester Amato mode of just being like the bare minimums at big man.
well, Lester Amato could rebound at least. If you're a big man and you can't score and you can't rebound, it's like, why are you there?
Yeah.
Other than having a sweet name like Max Baldwin.
Yeah. Well, that's enough about them.
Mm-hmm.
I think this one, the Spurs are Karachi's.
Sure.
Yes. Okay. Okay. The 18 and 12, or even better, they're surprising. Ruiz is still doing fairly well. Not a lot of assists, scoring well, shooting well. Team looks pretty good. Bauer still great. Their bigs are Brian Evans is playing well. Still a playoff contender. I don't think he's a title contender, but
I know, like the last sim, the
they're pretty solid.
Spurs. Yeah. The
Old Dog
Spurs.
has done a decent job.
They made like these weird, like changes to how they set up their depth chart, which I didn't really understand. Like, they moved Isaac Yardley to the bench along with Yegor, and then they started Jim Covert and moved to Ruiz to shooting guard and started Hernandez, which kind of fucked up all the numbers, which is why Ruiz's assists are probably lower than they should be. But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's good to sort of experiment. I don't know, but I thought their team was running along pretty fine without doing whatever the point of that was. But luckily, they're only 2 games out, and I'm hoping that AD sort of goes back to his original lineup and keeps Yegor and Evans starting with Bauer and Yardley and Ruiz, because I thought that was a pretty good setup. And it was very well balanced, their team. Like they don't have any like superstar guys other than Bauer, but they had like 5 really good starters at all their spots that filled their role on the team.
Yeah, I don't get why he decided to change that at all. Like it was working really well, and he needs to go back to that if he hasn't already. I don't even know why you would do that. It seems like everyone had a very specific job they were really good at, and it just fit perfectly. He's done a really good job building this team, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
For one of the newer GMs too that we didn't really know a lot about, but he's stepped in and like runs it like someone that's been in here for like years, basically. Unless he just really likes Jim Covert, and Scott Hernandez, but you know, it seems like a weird reason to suddenly change what was working the first sim.
yeah. Yeah, I think he's not gonna sell out or anything. He's gonna keep going with going for his. He was in the WCF last year, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
somehow.
And I think he's got a chance to be back there again, maybe even go into the finals. So I wouldn't change anything. He's doing great. That's it. Who does need to change something is Raka? Raka's the Jazz GM now? I don't know.
Really?
Is it Raka? No, it's Devonta.
Really? Their GM is in here right now.
Is he? Is he?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
Devonta doesn't really
racist.
talk or anything ever. He has Bob Jacobs, which is just useless. Sell him immediately. He's why you're losing. The rest of his people seem pretty okay. Steve Bell's kind of dead now, so I don't know. He needs to sell everyone out for picks or something. It's not gonna work.
Yeah.
I agree. They need help everywhere. They need a lot more scoring and young players to have one solid draft pick this year, possibly, and not much else.
Yeah. I think he's got like 4 pretty good starters, and he could definitely trade those to teams with expirings and like maybe get picks if he traded like like Bob Jacobs and Steve Bell to one team for expirings and a first, or like 1 good first or even 2 firsts. Like you can get a lot of good pieces for those guys because Jacobs is still getting like 17-12. Eli Yang is like super versatile, and he'd be a great 6-man somewhere. Steve Bell can be a good scorer for a team. So it's not like these guys are like worthless. It's just obviously with them combined with everything else on his team, it's just not going to do anything other than lose a lot of games and win too many games to get a good draft pick. Well, he doesn't have his own draft pick, but I would definitely, I'd be selling for sure if I was that team. So, anyone looking for like really good depth, or even like, I think those 3 guys could be starters on some teams. I would definitely look into that. Like Bob Jacobs could for sure start on Atlanta.
Yeah.
Like I would trade Robert and like their first this year for Bob Jacobs, and they would probably make the playoffs, and that first would be worth less than getting Jacobs. He's only 28 anyways, so, and he'd be like significantly better than the bigs they have now.
Yeah, even with my hatred of Jacobs, I mean, he's better than that.
And even like Milwaukee, like if you put Jacobs next to like Guth, since Guth is such a great defender and everything, and he's the all EBL every position, it can make up for Jacobs' like huge weakness at defense because they have another guy with him.
Yeah.
But what does Streeter think of this trade? That's what I want to know. And by this trade, I mean this team. By this team, I mean this team.
Go ahead, Street.
Nice echo. I wonder if that picked up in the recording. Baldwin can also jump in at any time. As long as he intros with chewing heavily.
All right. And nothing.
Yep. Well, I'm going to yell at him even though he didn't say anything. So, fuck that guy. Speaking of guys that aren't fucked, the Grizzlies are not fucked.
Yep.
That was sort of a segue. This team looks really good. I don't really know what else to add. They obviously shouldn't sell. They're getting great play from their big men. Their wings and point guards and shooting guards are all playing. They're getting a lot of scoring. Paul Coleman's playing very good off the bench. He's getting almost 9 rebounds a game, or 8, 9 in like 23 minutes. It's very solid. It's just a really solid team, as become accustomed when you look at a shadow team. And they're very young, so even if they don't make that big jump and that step this year, like, they're pretty well set up for a couple of years on the road. So I wouldn't be blowing up too much of this team, personally.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. They are probably the team to beat in the West. Maybe, I mean, aside from the Kings. But, yeah, I would never make a move for like 5 years with this team. You don't really have to. So, I mean, yeah.
I agree. Conley scoring 20 points a game. Yeah, Gerald Young, Tanner, Taylor, they look pretty stacked. I wonder what moves he can make. Do they really have any picks?
No, but he can move like Will Smith, and there's a couple of, he's pretty deep, so he's got like Brian Felix and stuff. If he could find guys that would want those sorts of players on his team, he's got a lot of depth that he can move still, I find, at least.
Yeah. Speaking of people with lots of depth, but not very many good starters, you want to talk about the Warriors, Karachi?
Sure. 11-17. They don't have their first. Let's see that in contention right now. I think he needs to move Tony Ellis. And Cruz looks decent. I mean, he's not shooting very well, but assists aren't bad considering the team doesn't score much. And he has some pieces he might be able to move if he's looking. Ashford, Cuervis, Hazen. A lot of one-year contracts, typical for the Warriors. They rebound really well, so there's a lot of teams that can use some rebounders.
Yeah. I think they need to sell everyone, pretty much, aside from, like, Billy Castle, because they've already got, who's probably going to be their franchise point guard, I would assume. Sell everyone else for picks or whatever, youth, and that's it. I mean, this team is done contending at all.
Yeah, I think you could definitely get a pretty good haul for guys like Tony Ellis and Floyd Cuervis, and even like Harry Hazen, and guys like Ashford and Cruz are also pretty solid. It's like he's got 5 good starters, but for various reasons they just aren't working this year, and like they're old, so they're probably not gonna suddenly get better next year. So I would definitely look into moving him, but he could get a lot of picks and a lot of, expiring contracts next year if he gets rid of Cuervis and makes somebody take Parker or whatever. Like, he could have cap room as soon as next year with a bunch of picks and Billy Castle. So it could be a very fast turnaround to a rebuild if he goes through with it, which he probably should, looking at his team and the results and numbers that they're putting up together.
Yeah, so I think we're all pretty much in consensus on that one. The Clippers are a little bit harder to say. I'm gonna say I don't even know what to do with them.
Well, I would just ride it out because they're so young. It's like kind of hard to do anything else than that. They're all like 23 and younger almost.
Yeah, I didn't even realize how young they were. Yeah, they're just doing what they're doing. So, yep.
I was listening to that, by the way, but thanks for cutting it off.
What's that?
Whatever that ringtone was.
Oh, my ringtone? Nice.
Yeah, it was very pop punk sounding.
It's Coheed and Cambria.
Then I was completely correct. They're really bad live.
Are
Not
they?
to get off topic. Well, like most punk bands are bad live to start with. And did somebody just fart or sit on their chair weird? Anyways, but they're very like whiny sounding. So the singer, I think his throat just dies out too fast live. So yeah, don't see Coheed and Cambria live. If you take nothing from this podcast, take that.
Yep.
You'll probably take nothing. So just take that from it. But no, I mean they're really young. Obviously, they have 2 rookies starting at the guard spots who are playing very good, but are nonetheless they're rookies. They have Gary Wilkins, who's only 25, and he's probably the oldest guy that'll be around for any significant amount of time after this season. No, I mean they're young, so they just got to sort of wait it out. They have a pretty good rotation of Howard, Wilkins, Cabrera, and Kopp at that spot. They could use another big man next to Lowe, and then like a third big man. But they still have young guys that could still fill in, like Gerald Eckley. So I don't know. I like the way they're built, and they're very young. So if he holds on to all them, they should be good to go. And they have Robin at point guard off the bench. So it's Tim Drake. Used to be Robin in the comic books. Clearly that flew over everybody's head. So there you go.
Look, we're not all nerds like you.
First of all, I'm not a nerd. Second of all, everybody knows that. Third of all, C points 1 and 2. And Baldwin's the one that brought up Tim Drake, not me. So.
All right. Yep. Nothing more to say about that. Where are we at now? The Lakers?
The Lake Show.
The Lake Show. You want to take this one? Oh. I will take this one. Because this is your team, Karachi. The Lakers are almost always my favorite for the title. Oddly enough, I always think they're gonna win it, and then they just always underperform. I don't even know. I can't say I like the Lakers that much, even though they're doing really well. Just I feel like I always think they're gonna do amazing. They never do.
I mean, they have a bad injury with Ron Trim is going to be out for like almost 2 sims, and he was out for half of this sim. So obviously that's a big factor. But I mean, there's no need to like start changing anything because they still have Albie and Perkins, and they can use Zimmerman as a third man in the meantime as a go-to guy. So, but I kind of want to hear what Streeter has to say about this if he actually talks this time. If he doesn't, then I'm gonna fucking punch him in the face somehow.
Okay. So like how you were saying that they always seem like they're going to be a title team and then they kind of fall off. I feel like this year's Lakers team doesn't have the same weaknesses as they had before. Like I feel like they're much more solid all around. So I think this might be the year that they don't fall off. Because like if you look, Charles Hill, he's their other starting big man, and he's doing a lot better than what their secondary starting big man has been doing in the past. And I think he's playing really good defense too, so that's helped a lot. And then like their team as a whole, they're shooting pretty well at 45%. So it just seems like the Lakers have always had that problem at big, and this year it's not as bad. Like it's still their worst position, but it's not as bad as it has been before. So.
Well, I'm going to have to actually agree with you, but for kind of a different reason. I just realized they have Brandon Roach. So,
You just realized this?
So
You're
failure
not
isn't
keeping
even
tabs on
possible.
him at all times? Amateur.
I mean, you can't lose with Brandon Roach.
No. But, no, I mean, I see the point. Definitely their big men are a lot better. I think Zimmerman has been playing great, which helps a lot with 12 rebounds a game. I still think Hill is kind of underperforming, but this team has very good depth. Well, they have pretty good depth. They have Mike Reynolds, who's obviously a very good guy to have as a backup because he can score a lot. And as long as he's not starting, he's good to have at this point of his career. Roach is the same sort of thing where he's a bad defender, but he scores so good that if he's coming off the bench, it's not that big a problem. So if they can like keep it together over the next 2 sims or so where they won't have trim, I think they'll be pretty good because, I mean, they're still pretty deep. Lewis Miracle apparently played very good in the very limited time he played last sim. And obviously it helps when you're playing with guys like Perkins and Albie, but I would think Perkins, Albie, and Zimmerman should be enough to see them still be like pretty healthily above 500 for the next sim or two, where they're going to be without their best player, who's Ron Trim. The only real change I'd make is to see if they could get like a better center than Charles Hill, but that's like tricky to do. So, I mean, if they're willing to move, if they can move like Hill and Montanez or something, or Lewis Miracle and Hill, or some combination, because they have pretty decent contracts to move with. So, but no firsts. So they'd have to get somebody. They'd have to move like Don Carter and maybe Mike Reynolds, and get someone on a longer deal that people want to dump.
Yep. You want to take the Suns now?
Do I? No, I don't. I'm just putting your quote in here. Your quote of the of it all. All right. So the Suns, as another team that's rebuilding, which seems to be the case for a lot of teams in EBL, they've done a pretty good job. They've got a couple picks. They have like one lotto this year probably, which is their own. But I'm not even sure if it'll be a good lotto because Nishida is still very good, which is going to win them a lot more games than they'd like. And Yarbrough is playing way, way better than I expected him to. As did Peter Luther the first game. He did pretty good, 17, and, well, he didn't rebound very good, but he still had 17 points a game, at least. But this team still has a lot of very good guards, which I'm sure they'll want to move. Like Yarbrough, I'm pretty sure his time is pretty much just waiting for somebody to actually want him or to have an injured point guard or whatever reason people are going to trade for him. But even guys like Peter Luther and Seifert, and he's got Coswell. Well, he's probably not going to trade Coswell because he's on like a rookie second contract or whatever. But I mean, if I was him, I would definitely keep doing what he's doing, which is trying to trade Yarbrough. I would consider trading Nishida if I got a really good package for him, but I really don't think Jerry wants to ever move him. So I wouldn't be surprised if he really doesn't want to move him, then I could see the points of keeping him. But it is definitely a team that's rebuilding. They have their own pick, so they don't have to worry too much about just getting rid of all their talent if that's what they want to do. But I definitely think if they wanted to get rid of Nishida, they could get like a lot of stuff for him because he's like incredibly talented and he's still only 27, so he could have like 7 or 8 years left of solid production in him.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's pretty spot on. I'm not as big on Nishida, oddly enough, this year. I think he's really good. But I'd say he's on Tony Ellis level now, to me. Like, maybe a little bit better than that, because his shooting is just really inefficient. And I feel like he's been that way. He was kind of that way a little bit more last year, and it seems like he's worse now. I think you could get a lot for him, but I don't think he's like ultra elite like he was before. Yeah, I'd be trying to sell everything out and just completely rebuild.
Yeah. I think a lot of his field goal problems are because he was shooting better when he had better players around him too. When he had like O'Neal and Willis, it probably helped him get like easier shots, as it were, and that's probably why his field goal percentage dropped. Like, I wouldn't trade for him and expect him to take a team with not a lot around them very far, but if you've already got a couple good pieces, he'd be a good guy to have, and he could definitely be a go-to guy on a team if you already have like 1 or 2 really good scorers on the team.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, you should look to move some players.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at even like 2 years ago when he had O'Neal and Willis, I mean, he was shooting 46%, and like the 2 years before that it was like 45 and 47 the years before that. So I think it's more the people around him that's sort of killing his field goal percentage, and he'd still be a pretty capable scorer on a better team. But even if he's not, he's still a very good rebounder and shot blocker and defender. So even if that's all you're looking for,
yeah,
like,
that's where his value is to me.
Yeah, he's still very good at that.
It's not bad at all. Yeah, it's not a bad thing at all. He's super elite at that, at like defense and rebounding. But as like a all around like trying to put him in the league with like Guth, I don't think is anywhere near fair.
Well, no, but
yeah. What are we at now? Who's up?
Apparently a GM, but I've never seen him do anything, so.
Yeah, I will talk about JB's Trailblazers.
Mm-hmm.
Is that me? I don't know.
Yeah, you're talking about JB's Trailblazers.
Yeah, okay, I'm talking about JB's Trailblazers. JB did a real good job with this team. They have everything you could really need, except for the lack of a point guard, which they had in Hardesty before one of the revolving door of kind of garbage GMs after him traded away.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, JB did great. There's nothing really more to say about that. Shouldn't sell
I'm
out.
surprised JB hasn't tried to start one of his other point guards just to sort of see what they could do. But I guess JB really likes playing Greg Bean and his 40% shooting and 31% from 3. So, I mean, he must really value steals per game because because Greg Bean's really high, which is weird because JB didn't even draft Greg Bean. It's almost like JB is only playing Greg Bean because someone else drafted him for some reason. But I like his other picks that he made. So JB's done very well. For someone that hasn't been GMing in the league for, like, I don't know, like 6 to 7 seasons, his team is doing very well for itself at 18-12. And with no real point guard.
Yeah, well, enough said about that. Karachi, do you want to take the Kings?
Sure.
Unless you have something to add about JB's team.
Did a great job. Probably too good, but you know.
Well, don't worry. Somebody fucked it up for him. So.
Yeah. Still waiting for him to make another move, but.
Yeah, it could be a while.
Could be a while. Kings, wow, they look great. A bunch of vets. As long as they stay healthy, they're probably the favorites. You know, Grundy, still elite, and Pierre Lewis, still very good. Andy's great. Bigs are solid. Not sure what they're missing. Maybe depth on the bench. That will be pushing it, but a lot of rebounding, low turnovers. Can't really nitpick even with them. Just about everything is solid except for leads to the injury. Or
No, I agree. I think Elan's been playing better than some people thought he would, or Elan, Tigran even, which has helped a lot. He has Brad Key, who I think has been really good as a bench guy. He's shooting very well. He's doing a little bit of everything off the bench for them. I can only assume he's playing 3 spots at small forward, shooting guard, and point guard. But it's like you said, it's a health issue. Like, if they stay healthy, if they can get through the whole playoffs with all of their starters, I think they'll definitely be one of the favorites for a title. And I just really like the way they're laid out. And there's a lot of proven winners on the team. And they don't seem like washed up to me. They're old, but they're still good. So.
Yeah, I completely agree with you guys on this one. Pierre Louis it's his 6th title that it's his to lose, really. As long as everyone stays healthy, and even if one of the wings goes down, Brad Key's there to come in and they can still compete to me. So I think they're good. This is an excellent job by Tyler.
Yeah, and he has Klaus Cole, who's awesome. So
yeah, Klaus Cole is having a great year too.
He's truly a legend of the game, and he's got 2 titles already. And he's a really sharp dresser, which people don't know about him.
Is everybody on this team already have a title except Handy? I think Handy started with that one.
Yeah, Grundy won one with the Rockets, I'm pretty sure.
Yep, everybody's won titles. So, yep, they should be good.
Well, not Tigran and not Brad Key, who are crucial parts of the team.
Well, of course. But let's finish this up with the Thunder.
finally.
I want to hear what Baldwin has to say about the Thunder. Otherwise, I don't really care about what anyone else has to say about them.
Yeah, this one's all on Baldwin.
Yeah, so let's just sit here in complete silence, and we'll let Baldwin cover this whole team. I think John Brooks is back soon, or came back last sim. So.
Oh, he's back, baby.
So that's the Thunder. Brooks is back, baby, and he's back in time.
And do you guys want to scoop?
I wanted Scoop, yes. You can just call
Maybe.
me Scoops from now on.
Okay, Scoop. Scoop Bayless.
Scoop Bayless. I can't go on after that. That was pretty much it for me.
No,
All
then
right, I'm done.
that's the end of the podcast.
No, the Thunder, they're about 500. They're very young, so I don't see why they would go crazy too much with the selling. I mean, maybe they could get rid of Fierabend. That's the point guard from the shooting guard from Germany. He's playing very good, but he's probably the most expendable piece since they have Robin Smith there. But I mean, I don't know. I would probably just lame it out with the guys he's got, see how they do this year, and assess more next season after another TSC and seeing their production over a whole season. That's a scoop from Scoops.
More Juan Case.
Yes, also that. I don't even know why he's not playing. I don't know. I can't believe I didn't even mention Juan Case. I mean, it's really case closed with Juan Case. Because see, their GM is a lawyer, so that's the connection there. Also, Case played pretty good last year. 11 rebounds, 3 blocks a game. That sweet 54% free throw shooting.
Yep.
He's pretty good at basketball. So, finals predictions, other than the obvious Wizards against Dallas Mavericks.
I mean, history says otherwise, but
Yeah. Come on,
I'll go with Orlando.
Dallas is less than 10 games out of 8th place.
yeah.
It's a quick turnaround.
Just 9 out.
It's definitely going to be the Heat versus the Kings in the first ever Click Finals appearance.
I think that'll be the end of EBL pretty much at that point.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like I've always said, as soon as I win a title, I'm done. I beat the game then.
Yeah. How about, here's a good challenge. Who's going to win the Central Division? Since there's like 5 teams within 2.5 games of each other. And 3 teams that are not trying or are too young or suck.
Probably the Pacers.
I mean, I don't even know if it matters. Streeter's in the running for that. Come on.
Okay,
How
well,
bad can you get?
I'll pick Toronto then, just to spite you
Yeah.
for your blasphemous, insulting words.
I'm with Bauer on this one. The Bucks are gonna make it. All right.
What about Milwaukee v. Dallas?
Milwaukee against Dallas, that'd be pretty good.
Yeah, figure it out.
I can't. It's just the math required to do such a thing.
No, well, it's Dong versus Seaman.
Oh my god. Together at last, dongs and semen.
Yep.
That's a bastard cast right there.
Yep.
I don't know what else to add. This is your work.
I
This is your
think there's
handiwork.
nothing else to say. I think that's it.
No, I mean you could pretty much top out at dongs and semen.
Nope. We can't top that. So.
And on a high note.
Yep. Let's end here.
Yeah, let's call that a high note.
Yep.
I'm not doing the outro.
All right.
Just so you know.
This is
You'll
the
have-
end of this second ever EBL podcast.
Bastard
This
cast.
is the end. And it may never happen again. So.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Never know.
I mean, if I win a title, I'm done. So.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to do one. So
All right.
I would barely say I even did this one. Really.
Yep.
You got the half-assed hype on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. And Magoo died. That's pretty much a sign of the end. Oh, what a burp.
All right. Well, I'm cutting this off now.
Yeah, you didn't get your Parmesan whatever? What'd you get, spaghetti?
No, I tried to get pizza, but I ended up only getting breadsticks.
Like Parmesan pizza?
No, I wanted pizza. Regular pizza.
Oh, because the guy was talking about Parmesan.
Parmesan breadsticks.
Okay, well that makes sense then. It just sounded like he was talking about, like, maybe spaghetti or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
So we only bought breadsticks.
He
Well, I
only
like
brought
breadsticks.
That's odd.
You should call them and be like, hey, I didn't order breadsticks. Asshole. Maybe not those direct words, but I mean that's like bullshit. Like you paid for pizza, not breadsticks.
Look, that doesn't follow my standard of not doing anything.
Yeah, well, I probably wouldn't actually call myself, but I can complain on your behalf. Just
I mean-
get him on the phone. We'll get Baldwin to talk for you. He's a lawyer.
I don't know how much I want the spit pizza after that.
He'll be like, lawyered, you have to give him the pizza. You had a verbal contract. It can't be broken.
That was
I
all
don't know.
Baldwin's
I don't even
law
know if
school
that's
right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a lawyery thing. Sort of.
No, you're right.
There you go. Verbal contract. Unbreakable.
All right. Well, goodbye, everybody.
Yeah, adios.
RVD.
There you go. Perfect ending.
Yep.